Hello, good evening. What you've got in front of you is the catback exhaust system for a 2003 Honda Accord Tourer. The reason we're here is a short while ago the welded joint into the back of the back box failed, and I had a few options to address this. One was to just perform a repair in this location here, maybe sleeve a pipe on, flare it, and then weld it to the back box, call it good, and then maybe it'll last a few months. Probably even longer, but you know, I want an excuse to do a load of fun work in it. I could have cut further up and made a short new section into the back box again and just welded it on. Possible, but you'll see in a clip in a minute as to why this is potentially not possible. Could have also just bought a whole new section with back box, it would have worked. But there's another issue which I want to get onto, which I wanted to address, which that doesn't fix. So what we have is at the back of the cat, we run down for a large silencer, and at least the plans to remove that for now, but there are provisions to add one back in later if necessary, and the two hangers here. We then make a 90-degree turn to the offside to avoid the fuel tank, and then a 90-degree turn back onto the centre line with another small silencer. We then make a 60-degree turn back to the vehicle centre of the vehicle, and another 60-degree turn, avoiding the wheel well and rear offside suspension here. We travel under the lower arm and then make a 45-degree turn into the back box here, which itself is offset 10 degrees from vehicle centre line, and then the tip is rotated 10 degrees back onto vehicle centre line. The red lines here are just part of my estimation for how much steel I needed to order. Feel free to pause the video and rip apart my completely unnecessary maths in the comments to work out how long these sections are. So what the issues are, as I've mentioned, one is the welded joint failure, two, the entire catback system is rusted, three, the system is not very maintainable. This is all one section. It's welded here, it's welded here, 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 and here, and then finally you have a flange on the cat. And then finally, as a bit of a bonus, this is a 2-inch system, which I'd like to address as well. So my solution is a new stainless back box and a stainless system all the way up to the next flange joint, which happens to be the catalytic converter. To address the maintainability issue, I want to add at least one more flange. At the moment I'm thinking prior to traversing the rear lower arm. This will allow me to remove this entire system here or the system ahead, depending on what I need to do. For instance, if I decide that I need to add a silencer in the future, I can just remove this section here and quite easily work on that. Or if I want to replace the back box here for one reason or another, or make any changes to the pie cut section, then I can just do that again relatively easily. So what you're going to see is mild steel MIG for the manufacture of a new flange off the back of the cat. We're then going to make a step up from 2-inch OD to 2.5-inch OD, and then we're going to make this whole system here. This all has to be manufactured from straight, so I've ordered some straight pipe. Do I have any to hand? Maybe I do. So some 2.5-inch with several mandrel bends, but also enough 2.5-inch to make a bunch of pie cuts and do the final section of the exhaust to navigate the suspension entirely through pie cuts, and add in a relatively funky section here to go through 3 dimensions into the new back box. And probably a whole lot more which I've not mentioned, so let's just get to seeing what the issue is and get to addressing it. Wish me luck. So that's where we failed. You can see it's just rusted and it's a stressed welded joint, so it was done, and this is why we're replacing it. All crusty. You could definitely weld to it. It definitely won't last long. At the moment, splitting it at the next flange. At the back of the cat, as gas flows this way. You can see it's not focusing. There we go. Not having a great day, are we? 20-year-old flange. And the cheapest metal known to mankind. Subjected to high heat. As you know, or you may not know, the inlet temperature of the cat is colder than the outlet. Which is how you determine that the thing's working as well. A little IR gun. Yeah. Alright. Let's split this and weld a new flange off. Now that the cat's split, even though it's in a pretty sorry state, passed the MOT last year, so hopefully it'll pass the MOT again this year. But ground the flange back, and I want to go to just a double bolted flange. So we'll just get the MIG gun, just pop that on. You saw it, a bit of a treatment with the angle grinder we're here. The face is mostly prepped, just need to knock out this old seal. And then we're good to go. I'll leave the studs in because I literally don't have time to get rid of them. It'll take about half an hour. And yeah, I'll just weld them in place. Right then, got the MIG out. And this is what we're going to do. We're just going to pop that there and then cut away what we need to get some bolts through so we can mate up to the stainless flange on the other side and then build our exhaust off that. Don't worry, there will be TIG. Getting hooked up. However, we have 0.6 in the machine, so we're going to swap that for some 0.8. It'll be golden, won't we? So, ready to go. Got our ground nice and close to where we're working. A couple of clamps just to keep it secure for the first few tacks. And after a little bit of shock therapy, we got it nice and aligned. Because I'm going to start tacking the inside and then working my way out. Because it'd be the worst thing if I didn't just have leaks out the flange joint. If I got leaks out the welded joint, that'd just be a waste. So I'm going to fill up in there, and then I'm going to go around the outside, lock these studs in because I can't be bothered to remove them because I really don't have the time. Got the welder set up to begin with. Ooh, cranking it relatively high, just to go for the first few tacks and see how we go. We're on about 4 or 5 mil plus 2 sheets of plate, so we'll be alright going this heavy to begin with, and I'll pull it back if I need. So that's our voltage and our Y speed, just jamming. Let's get the key, let's get the gas on the go. Fine, let's get cracking. See how we go. Ooh. Sick. Went in a nice little cat's cradle there. Oh, your mic's over here. Oh, sorry guys, it's going to be loud. So yeah, went in a bit of a cat's cradle pattern. It's flowing really nice. Let's get the outside done now. Right. Beautiful. No distortion. We are still flush. Cut these off now. Just make sure you guys are still good, and girls, or 2 of my viewers. Be-read. I think we're hot, we're a bit too hot. I'll take it down a little bit. Bit better. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, a bit nicer. I can't see now. There we go. Oh, I can't move you back any further, can I? No. Oh. Right then, MIG's been depowered again. This time I'm just going to leave the 8 in it, 0.8. Pop the settings back down. I like to do this because it makes you think every time you start the machine. Again, gas is all back to normal, dust cap's on, and then I put another cap over that as well. This is locked off as usual. Yeah, so the MIG will go back into hibernation until the Toyota MR2 MX-5s, Golfs, anything from the 80s or 90s pulls it back out of hibernation again. This 2003 Accord. There we go, I'm happy with that for half an hour's work. Just make sure it's nice and clean as well. I got some because this is 20-year-old metal, so it's going to get upset because it's going to have all sorts of impurities and hardened metal that's not going to want to weld, so it's just going to explode. And then that's just going to send spatter here, there and everywhere. Sometimes you just can't deal with it if you're welding old metal, but this was all nice and new. So all I've got to do now is let this cool down, and then I'll figure out a way of just removing these so I can get the bolts in. This one's alright, I'll probably take that out with a deburr, with the burring head on the Dremel, but I'm not sure what to do about this one. Probably the same, just lean on it for half an hour or drill it out. See how we go. Cool, happy with that. So, cat's back up with this new funky twin flange rather than triple flange, just so I can go to the stainless system. Remove the metal out of there now. So now, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, I have to go all the way over here, down here, then we got a 90, that's a 90, another 90, down to a 60, down to another 60, and then to whatever I want to do at the end. And my channel locks from last night. Nice. Welcome back to the bench. What we've achieved so far is we've split the catalytic converter joint from the car and stock, and we've welded on a 2-inch ID, roughly 2-inch ID, mild steel flange. This is just a spare one I had, just in case I either made a huge mistake and made a massive mess and it needed to be redone, or the flange itself on the cat was no good to be welded to, and I would have had to cut back and weld to the pipe on the outlet of the element. But at the moment, I'll show what we've got. We have finished this joint here now, at least one end of it, and we're ready to build the exhaust off the back of it. In the next video, you're going to see TIG welding the 2-inch to 2.5-inch expansion pipe and the 2 flanges on that joint as well, because that's part of the provision for this potential silencer to replace the stock one here, in case I start the car up and it's just a little bit too rowdy. Don't worry, there will be TIG in the next video. That is all TIG. MIG is done for this project now. I'm sure you may have come here for a bit of MIG action, and maybe if you convince me we can MIG something again in the near future, but I'm sure you're probably more interested in this. Further than that, we are going to be making some pie cuts. So these are some which I made earlier, just to have a bit of a play. So what we can achieve here, these are some 9 degree, yes, you've got 4.5 degree and 4.5 degree. I'll explain that in the future. But these are just some examples I've made. These are rather smooth transition. For what we need, we may need some rather aggressive pie cuts. So that's coming up in the future, and then of course welding them all together with the associated purge and all that jazz. So that's where we're going. We've also got some mandrel bends, so this 90 degree here, this 90 degree here, and this 60 degree there, they're all mandrel bend because we've got quite a lot of room under the car, and that just saves me a load of time. But from this point here, it's a little bit more unknown and a little bit more tight, especially back here where my new back box is already pretty close to the moving suspension arm, so it needs to be kicked over to the side relatively quick with a very tight radius, so that's where pie cuts come in. And beyond that, a note on my videography, I missed a lot of the flange welding process. This is my first video. I'm getting to grips with stopping to film what I would normally just be pretty focused on. And in the past, the only videos I've made have been sim racing, where I literally just race and record the screen and then upload that with no cuts, no audio, no commentary. Talking audio, it may have been a bit all over the place because I'm using 2 different cameras. I've got my phone and a camera with a separate PC mic input, which is what I'm using at the moment. The camera itself, its internal micro is pretty tinny, and this one may be only a little bit better, but that's where we are, and this is the tools I'm working with. These videos are primarily for friends and family who are interested in what I'm doing, so thanks for bearing with it, and I'll see you in the next one.